on, guys? I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Weapon H All-in-One Podcast. The podcast where we have those discussions that are outside the box and sometimes can be quite uncomfortable. Make sure you subscribe and like if you're new. Keep those comments coming. And today, I had a question that was asked to me one day. You know, being that I have my own business and as you know, anyone with, especially a solo run business, you have a lot of ups and downs. And the person asked me, what happens when the people closest to you don't support? And I looked at him and I told him, chances are that's where you're going to have the least amount of support is from the ones that's closest to you a lot of times. Not all the times, but a lot of times that's what I've seen. And hell, at times I've even experienced it. I've experienced times when I would train a person, get them right, and then you turn around and you see they will go somewhere else, or they have a kid and they'll go take their kids somewhere else. And it's not the end of the world. But in order to do this, in order to do any business, for the most part, you're going to have develop a thick skin, because it's bound to happen. You'll see you have a product and they'll tell you, oh man, that costs too much. But then somebody with a quote unquote name, they'll play about 10 times what you're asking for. But when you asked, it was expensive, or they wanted you to do it for next to nothing. Like with advice, people ask me questions all the time. But if I said, well, it's a consultation fee along with that, they don't have a question anymore. So it's like murky water. I mean, if you're going to do something, you have to be wholeheartedly into it and not really worry about what other people, because even with podcasts, I have people asking me for advice now on podcasts, and these same people don't even subscribe to my channel. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, you even have, and this was a joke, but this does happen, but not what I just said, but this was coming up it's a joke. We're sitting on the other show, I do the Mind, Body, and Laughter podcast as well. Now I'm sitting on an episode one time with Tanya, and she jokingly says, no one want to hear what you have to say by yourself. And you really, we were joking, but you will hear things like that from people close to you. That, yeah, no one's going to want to see hear what you have to say. No one's going to follow your channel. No one's going to care. And you'll end up finding out it'll be those outside. And even if you don't have a lot, if you are passionate about what you're doing, even if you're helping out a little bit, like with my podcast, it's times I had 1,000 views on one of the social medias. And then there's times that it'll have 10 views. And you have to learn that, it's great to have that 1,000, or maybe great to have that 2,000. I remember once, I think the most I'd have maybe 10,000 views on social media, one of the clips or something like that. And even with the YouTube channel, I think the most I had was maybe 800, 900, something. I can't remember the exact number. But anyway, yeah, when you have that milestone, it's great. Absolutely. But you may also have to be prepared for the time that it's not, unless you end up blowing up and it becomes viral. Even then, the numbers are still always going to fluctuate. Just be higher amount of fluctuation. The numbers may be 1 million to 500,000, or 1 million to 100,000, or something in that sense. But they still fluctuate, and But the thing is, do you enjoy what you're doing? With the podcast, I enjoy it, so I'm doing it. If it pops, great. But if it don't, I'm still going to do it because it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that I like to push out the information to people. It's something that it gives me that sense of, it gives me fulfillment because I'm giving information to people. And if only a few get it, then only a few get it. I mean, it happens. So if you're planning on doing a podcast, if you're planning on doing next to anything, you're going to have to be ready for a lot of rejection to go along before you get the positive. You're going to have more rejection than positive most of the time. But you stick around for those positives. You start thinking in a positive manner, and those negatives don't affect you as much. No matter what you're doing. Give some more examples where you'll see, for instance, you have God, your niece and nephew, whatever the case may be, you're teaching them something. And it's something you have experience on. Like, for instance, I'll just say, with my niece, I would teach her this, I'll teach her that, and yes, we're doing this about basketball, blah, 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 blah. And, you can tell it's not going in all the way because it's coming from uncle. Yeah, yes, he played ball overseas, blah, 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 but that's just uncle talking. And then you go down the line, maybe a month or two later, she come back. Oh, I went to this camp, and guess what? I learned this. And I'm sitting here like, damn, it sounds like the exact same thing I told you. And you're like, oh yeah. I said, yeah, what the hell? But that's when I also learned that, okay, sometimes it's because it's where it comes from. So I may have to step back. So you may have to, like when I'm doing this, I'll have to look at it like that. I can say it to the people that know me. It might go in and out one ear because it's Herm. They know me. So they don't take it the same as somebody from the outside says it to them. And it can irritate you, especially in the beginning, but after a while you learn. Like, just like they go to the outside, so somebody outside may come to me, and what I say to them may be the thing that turns their whole life around. It may lighten their day. So this is something that you're going to have to deal with when you get to see that you may not get the support you think of the people surrounding you. You're going to have some, obviously, but there's going to be a lot where you don't. It's something you're going to have to deal with if you're going to do this. If you're going to strike out on your own and start your own thing, something that's going to be there. And it's going to be, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, it's going to be some rough going. And on your way to that top. But you can't be afraid of that. You have to, you hear this saying a lot, and it's a saying that actually holds a lot of ground. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're ready for that, then maybe you are ready to take that step into diving into your own thing. Because there are going to be a lot of uncomfortable moments. Now, if you have something already stable and then you start this out on the side, that's typically a good way of getting started when you want to do your own thing. So that way you have your stability, you start doing your thing, but as it starts to pick up, you're going to have to make that call because you may have to leave that place. And then you're going to jump out the window and you're going to be like, okay, everything's going good. I'm going to make that jump. And then you're going to have a lull. And you're like, holy shit, did I make the wrong decision? And that's where you can't think. You got to absolutely lie. It's not going that good. It might have an off month or off couple of months. But this was this decision that I made. This is what I love to do. This is what I'm passionate about. I will make it work. And that's where you have to start going into the I will make it work thing. It has to become a whole positive mentality. And the thing I use a lot is meditation. I meditate quite a bit. And that's another thing where you don't get the support. You start to look within. And meditation helps you a lot with that. So you get there, you sit with your thoughts, you go through things, especially if you can get learn it good enough where you're going into alpha stage and even delta stage, you start coming up with a lot of things that will help you along your way. And that's if you're being honest with yourself. You have to be honest, though, with it. You have to be honest with it. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. It's another thing for you to pick up on. Gotta know your strengths and weaknesses. Because a lot of times as solo people, we try to do everything, and sometimes that's not feasible. Sometimes you gotta get help. Sometimes you gotta get advice from other people. Even if you're doing it for a while, still, you're never too good at something to not be able to hear advice. Yeah, sometimes you're going to get BS from people, but you take it all with a grain of salt because you don't want to miss a jewel because you getting a bunch of mess. So be ready to deal with ups and downs. And hey, you never know. You may take off and you may not even get any downs. Beautiful. That's all power to you. Great. But when you have the situation where you see you're not getting support, first start with it. Get those meditation. Only kind of meditation that's going to help your situation. Learn different types. Learn what to meditate about. You got problem solving. You have meditation where you just want to ease your mind so you can think clearer. So there's a lot of different things you can use to help you along your way, but be prepared for, I don't want to, I said it earlier, but I don't even want to say rejection too many times because I want to kind of just say maybe something not so positive, but you got to look at it in the positive. Like when you get news that's not so great, you got to look at it and say, look, okay, I didn't get that, but maybe I get it here. Or let me roll the dice on myself and push a little promotion that way and see who picks up on it. Then when they pick up on it, and then see if we can get word of mouth, and then or you scrounge up some money, pay for marketing that way, pay for promotion that way, and you get a little at a time. And sometimes you're gonna get it, sometimes you may not. Just like with me, with the fitness part of it, sometimes you use a lot of time. You're talking to the person you're bringing, and you're having a consultation. You're getting it all in, and you laid out everything for probably about a good 30 minutes, sometimes longer, and they don't even go to you. They'll go to somebody else after you done gave them all the information. So these are some of the things you may have to deal with. But you also have to adjust. Like, instead of now when you want to talk to me about something, okay, now we have a consultation fee for that. So that way, yeah, you go right on ahead and go somewhere else, but I got something out of it for helping you. Help me help others. You know what I mean? So that's a few of the things I can give you at this time, and anybody else who may have to deal with that same situation. Write in the comments if there's anything else that you guys want to know, or any question that you can have bounce off each other's head to kind of keep the thing going and help us all improve on each other. Feel free, comment, subscribe, like, and like to thank you all for joining in, because there will be no podcast without you guys. So thanks again for joining in. Weapon H, all in one podcast. See you guys soon.